Near the city of Xuanping stands Five Dragon Mountain. It abounds with wild flowers, verdant grasses, twisting trails, and trickles and brooks which finally empty into Kettle Lake. Strangely, the crest of the mountain is completely bare, with not a single plant, but instead an enormous stretch of grass known as horsewhips, which come to life in spring and summer and dries up in autumn and winter. Stranger still is that the highest peak, called Meidan Peak by folk nearby, which rises into the sky wrapped in pure white cloud. There is a local legend, there is a local saying, when Meidan is dressed in white, it rains during the day. When Meidan has a hood over her head, there will be drought. This is the story behind the saying. Once upon a time there was a pool called Whitewater Pool. On the day when spring changed to summer, an enormous inundation would drown the fields and wash away people and draft animals. But when fall ended, it would dry up completely with not a drop of water left. People were forced to travel long distances for water and prayed to the gods to fill this hateful pool. A girl named Meidan lived to the east of the pool. Her parents had both been drowned in a flood. She had searched the pool 100 times but failed to retrieve their bodies. Heartbroken and exhausted, she sat down by the pool and burst into tears. Suddenly a wail was heard in the distance. Presently she saw a wolf biting into the hind leg of a young river deer. Meidan let out a cry which scared the wolf away and so saved the deer's life. I have to say, I feel kind of sorry for that wolf missing out on its dinner. Meidan then dressed its wound carefully, saying, "Go back to your father and mother." To her surprise, the river deer, stretching its leg, began to talk. "My savior, if you ever want anything, just come to the eastern sea, where you will find an ancient banyan tree with 5 branches. Just tap 3 times on the tree and then call out, 'Black Dragon,' 3 times. In no time, it was summer again. All the villagers were packing their things to flee the village when Meidan remembered what the young river deer told her and rushed all the way to the eastern sea. Seeing a huge banyan tree, she went over and tapped it 3 times on the trunk and called out loud to the sea, 'Black Dragon! Black Dragon! Black Dragon!' Her words had not quite died away when there emerged on the crest of the waves a handsome young man. At his gesture the sea cleaved open clear and blue. She felt herself carried away by a gentle breeze until finally she reached the gate of a magnificent palace where the Dragon King and his 4 sons lined up at the entrance to meet her. Then she was led into the palace by the Black Dragon. "Dear Meidan, you've saved the life of my youngest son, and for your kindness we will repay you. Given that that deer turned out to be a dragon prince, it may well have been for the best, even for the wolf, that it didn't eat it. On the whole. Come, tell us what you want," said the Dragon King. "I have no parents, no siblings. I came here just to—" "That's easy." The Dragon King was all smiles. "If you don't mind, I can take you as my own daughter. So you too will have a family." So saying, the Dragon King took Meidan to be presented to the Dragon Queen and his children. He took a cupful of wine and drank the first mouthful, and then shared the rest with his family and Meidan. In this way, Meidan was made a daughter of the Dragon King. Meidan enjoyed her life in the Dragon Palace so much that she forgot all about what she had come for. It so happened that one day, when she was frolicking in the sea with her brothers and sisters, she saw a big fish gulping down a human leg. "Where does the human limb come from?" she asked. "It was washed here by the waves from Whitewater Pool. All the corpses from there are in fragments," answered the Black Dragon. Meidan, suddenly remembering why she had come to the Dragon Palace, broke into tears. Try as they might to console her, she was not to be pacified. Finally, Black Dragon pulled her hands away from her face, saying, "Elder sister, just tell us what is on your mind, and we will do our best to help you." Wiping the tears from her face, Meidan related how Whitewater Pool went wild every year, claiming thousands of victims and driving many more away from their homes. She begged her brothers and sisters to drain the pool with her and then fill it with stones. They thought this would be easy and sent to the Dragon King for approval, but he refused point blank. The water of that pool is preserved for the Queen Mother of the West. At the beginning of every summer, the Queen Mother sends gods to empty her jade pond into Whitewater Pool, where it is purified and stored up to be transferred again in the fall back to the jade pond. So by emptying the pool, you would offend Her Majesty. Argue as they might, the Dragon King was adamant. In the end, Meidan went back to her room and wept. The black dragon, seeing Meidan in anguish, went to consult his elder brothers. Together the 4 brothers came to Meidan's room and said, "We won't have the Queen Mother torturing people. We will set out tomorrow to fill the pool." So the next morning at daybreak, Meidan and her 4 brothers came to Whitewater Pool. It so happened that the jade pond was being emptied that day, and the flood was driving people nearby to flee for their lives. At this sight, Meidan shouted out, "Dear people, we have come to fill the pool!" Seeing Meidan and the 4 black dragons, people dropped their things to meet them. Presently, the 4 black dragons, displaying their exceptional powers, drank up the pool to the bottom. Then they carried rocks from mountains far away and dumped them into the pool. But the rocks turned instantly into mud at the bottom, refusing to pile up. At this point, people went to get bucketfuls of urine and dumped it over the mud, which solidified into rocks at once, thwarting the god's trick. All went on well enough with the filling of the pool until the mountain god went to report it to the Jade Emperor. The Queen Mother, boiling with rage, immediately sent some gods to stop it. Seeing the pool filled up when they arrived, the heavenly forces shot 6 heavenly arrows at Meidan and her 4 brothers, who were all fatally wounded. Meidan jumped up to help her brothers, and the 5 of them turned slowly into a mountain. Later, people had a magnificent temple built on the mountains dedicated to the 5 dragon children, where they offered sacrifices and prayed to them. They never built temples for the mountain god, the Jade Emperor, and the Queen Mother. Local people were convinced that the dragon children were still alive, for they would suck up the pool to water the meadow at the mountain peak on rainy days, and draw it off for people to water their vegetables with in autumn and winter, while letting the grasses dry up at the crest of the mountain. Meidan, whose head was high up in the clouds, would have a piece of cloud draped over her shoulders when it was going to rain, and wear a piece of cloud over her head when it cleared up. By and by, the mountain peak came to be known as Meidan Peak.